Hi friends! Today we're taking a deep dive in the newly released DANESSA MYRICKS Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Blush that I had mentioned in my Sephora new makeup video that I had my eye on, and also an error I made. I wrote on the words I had noted that didn't pick up Pomelo Peach, wanted the peach shade from DANESSA's line instead, but I wrote Jubilee. This is not Jubilee, this is Bellini, the peach shade. I do want Jubilee too, because Jubilee says here it is the soft terracotta, and I filmed an entire video going over my favorite terracotta blushes, so one of those things that I kind of need, but I didn't buy it this time around because I was looking at Bellini and hopping between Pomelo Peach and Bellini. I decided to go with this one because I think the shade itself, although it is peach, it has a little more saturation than Pomelo Peach. Getting into this, but also taking a look at other blush shades that I have in my collection that kind of resemble Bellini, because I do like peach blushes, I do. I might not like it as much as terracotta, but I think the purpose a peach shade serves for my complexion, you know, I'm like medium right now, closer to medium tan in the summertime. There's like a freshness and a vibrancy I feel that color provides, whereas terracotta is more of like that sunburnt toastiness to the cheeks that's not just brown, but that reddish hue I think imbues that vibe. And with pink blush, like I had described with Hibiscus Haze from the House Labs line, more like a flush pick-me-up. So those are the big moods, in so to speak, that those shades provide me. And in this case, for peach, I do rely on a peach shade, again, for more of like that fresh brightness across the cheeks, something I would apply mostly to the center of my face because I feel that is an appropriate region to have a peach color on. And I teeter like peach coral. Maybe I'm more peach coral instead of just true peach, because there are some peach blush shades out there that are too light. They have too much of a white base and they kind of wash me out. But if the peach is like the one like Bellini, this has a little bit of coral. So to quickly go over the details, each of these retail for $25, currently available in 6 shades. And again, I got my eye on that Jubilee. I also have my eye on Rosé and Brunch because soft neutral pinks I think are just beautiful, or excuse me, neutral rosy pink. The rosiness I think makes pink for me, for my complexion, more of an everyday go-to, whereas the terracotta is just, ooh, it's going to be a little bit of like that heat kind of a vibe, which I feel I have in Inferno. But when we get to the comparison swatches, we could take a look at those shades. So here is Bellini. In terms of the texture, I mean, this color is amazing. It takes on a similar feel and consistency, if not same as her blurring balm product that I will apply on camera. Just to pick up a few details here, inspired by our award-winning blurring balm powder, buildable soft matte formula, blurs and smooths cheek and lip with all-day wear. So this is for cheeks and lips, and it also has the Upsolite technology where it soaks up excess oil throughout the day, and that current refreshing, if you will, along certain amount of hours, doesn't leave you looking greasy and flat, but still fresh and made up. I actually wore this yesterday for 12 hours, and yeah, around hour 10 and 11, the color started to fade, but it didn't disappear completely. So if you are normal to oily, or oily, I think this is a great product. The same benefits that I had expressed when reviewing the blurring balm product. Again, you just have that hybrid formula that has nice slip to it, nice slide and glide, but it's not an actual balm. It applies and sets like a powder, but doesn't look dry like a powder. So it still appears like your skin, but has those benefits, especially with products that appear more skin-like, more natural dewy, but not great for someone who's oily because that type of formula can break down on oily skin quickly. So to ensure the complexion looks fresh and even, the blurring balm was a hit in that department. So with details and swatches out the way, I think it's time for you to come in a little closer. That's enough. I have the blurring balm in number 6. I also have number 7 and number 5, but 6 is a great shade for me all around. Taking my Mizuho, I believe this is CMP 15. I might be making that up. It'll all be down below. I like to go from balm to brush to skin, and this is a lightweight product, so you don't need a ton. And it might seem that nothing is happening because the product itself, again, when you apply it on your skin, it sets like a powder. And that's why there are not a ton of shades, because the coverage is light to medium and it's buildable. So choose a brush that's going to lay down enough coverage for you, and maybe you can use a smaller brush on those regions that need more coverage, but not like the entire half of your face. And I might be revisiting this product more often as we approach the summer season, simply because it does feel more comfortable to apply something like this versus like the Haus Labs Skin Tech, which I'm not sure how that will fare out over the summertime, but it's worth a try because I think it'll be interesting to see when those climate conditions change, exposed to more humidity and higher temperatures, if that dewy finish of a product will feel as comfortable as something that has more of a powder finish. And just there's more of a freshness to it too, where definitely if you're going to undergo sweat and more oil production on your complexion, having a product that's formulated to kind of combat that throughout the day, I just think is more appropriate to use. But that's just me. So that is number 6. I think the shade match is still dead on. Number 5 is a little too light for me, but number 6 brings it all together just nicely. I'll apply Bellini with both a brush and fingers, so tapping in with the same brush. And I primarily start here on the center. Now, this picks up quite a bit of color, but I think due to its consistency, which again is much like the blurring balm, it might have a little more slip than the blurring balm, but just look how beautifully evenly that applies. So many adverbs. I like to take it up towards the temple, but as you see, I keep it mostly here on the apples of my cheeks and around the center of my face. I just realized I didn't put concealer on. My apologies, excuse me. Why not? Let me apply number 5 as my concealer. It's not gonna be like my LYS, but I think, you know, pretty nice to wear under the eyes. It's still lightweight, you know what I mean? Okay, we're back in business. Let me tap around where I applied number 5 just to even out that border. So I don't know if you can detect just again that soft matte finish, but there's still some radiance to the finish, which I think why the blurring balm blush has been a hit, since it's not as dry looking as a typical powder. And I can say yes, the Haus Labs definitely is drier than this because it is a powder. So inevitably it's going to have more of like that powder finish on the skin. But I do think it depends what you apply the Haus Labs on. However, this formula I just think is a little more versatile across several skin conditions, where even someone who's dry could appreciate this. Yes, it's not going to be as dewy as, let's say, right off the bat, the Tower 28, which I have on standby for comparisons. That has a lot more dew because it has castor oil, so it's going to have a little more emolliency and tack to it, whereas the blurring balm blush, I think more favorable to normal oily combination perhaps, and even some dry. And here is how it looks with a finger application, and it does apply evenly. Something I noticed is that it doesn't pick up any foundation from underneath, so you're not left behind with a spotty application. Yeah, if you definitely want more precision, I understand why you would go in with a brush instead, but easy to apply with either brush or fingers. And I like to place some here around the nose because I think, you know, just to have that true like peachy glow to the skin. And again, that's why I needed it to have a little more body to the color. Unlike Pomelo Peach, when I swatched it again in stores, compared to Bellini, it was just, I think it would have been too light. I do prefer a brush application. You know, I just like the more even kind of wrapping around, if you will. But if you don't have one, you'll be fine with a finger application, 100%. And this also can be worn on the lip. So let's apply this on the lip. In terms of the packaging, I enjoy its minimalist and just simple design. You still have this copper chrome finish. It is plastic, twist off, but again, it's not huge. It doesn't take up much space, and it's just straightforward in terms of the packaging design, which I enjoy. Now let's get into a few comparisons. I'll start with my cream blushes first. I have my Huda Beauty Cheek Tint in Coral Cutie. This has a little more pink, and as you can tell from the finish, more of a dewiness left behind. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I liked it just because of its versatility and the fact that I got a little color but sheen at the same time. Tower 28 Beach Please in Golden Hour. I remember this shade was sold out for like ever. A lot tighter, more creamy, emollient, you know, compared to Bellini. You can just see how there's more shine here, or just more of a glisten, versus Bellini. This is for the dry skin types, 100%. Has a lot more tack. There's like a tightness in the pan. I don't know if you can detect on camera, but yeah, you gotta work that product in. And I would suggest that your face or whatever foundation you use has a little more of like a dewy finish, or just a milkiness to it, so that the Tower 28 got somewhere to go. Salt New York. I know I don't show a lot of salt here. It's because I keep forgetting that I have it. This is the Lip and Cheek Cream Tint Pro Pan. Tight too, but this is a little old, so maybe it's past due its time. But that's in Coral. A little more red than what we see in Bellini. Patrick Ta's Do We Know Her? The Double Take Cream and Powder Blush. Do We Know Her, I think, was like the peachier of however many shades were out at the time, a cream and powder duo. But this has a little more pink to it, whereas Bellini, you can see a little more of that peach. LYS's Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in Inspire. Definitely thought about this color. It's in the same category as the Blurring Balm blush. Kind of like soft matte. You can see here, there's a similarity. More creamy in consistency, whereas the Blurring Balm blush has a little more slip. But you can see there's a little more like red in there. I don't remember if LYS, let me double check, if they had a peach in their Higher Standard lineup and I just didn't find it in my collection. They did come out with the peach. I think when they released their new shades, all right, Inspire, which I just swatched, is their Baked Coral. Let me see here. Where are the new shades? Classy. I don't have Classy. Classy is their Coral Peach. So that shade, I think, might resemble Bellini more, just judging from the shade description. Now, funny, I went into Fenty Beauty's Cheeks Out Cream Blush, or Freestyle Cream Blush. This is in Strawberry Drip. There wasn't like a peachy shade in the lineup, which I thought was interesting. So this was the only one that I found that, nowhere near Bellini. I wonder if I have all of them, and when I looked down all the labels, I didn't encounter like a peach. There was like that orange one that many were disappointed in because it wasn't really a blush. It was more like a blush highlight. Fuego? Was it Fuego? It was orange in the pan, but when you applied it on your face, it was more just like an orange glow. but not actually the shade. And I have Natasha Denona's Diamond and Blush Palette in Citrus 02. I thought about this blush shade here. This has more of like a spongy creaminess to it. I think this might lean overall, yeah, that's more pink-ish, and Bellini still looks more peach. It, dare I say, it looks very orange compared to a lot of those shades that I swatched, and I do look very orange on camera. Maybe I don't. When I see the footage, I could maybe make a note on the screen. Inferno. Now, from Phytosurgence, I have both Inferno and Singe, but I'm pretty sure that the Phytosurgence lineup does have a peach shade. I just don't have it. From the Skin Spark Blush Balm line, is it Ember? I think Ember is like gonna be their peach moment. Coral Tangerine is what Ember is described to be. Smolder Burnt Apricot Peach. I have Smolder. Where did I put it? I can't find it. I can't find it. I know for a fact I have Smolder, but based on the description, I think Ember would probably be more closely related to Bellini, because the tangerine, I think, is going to resemble this undertone better. But for the heck of it, I will swatch Inferno. Inferno is their Terracotta Rose, which I'm sure can't wait to see how that looks next to DANESSA's Jubilee. So gotta mix this up a little bit because kind of settled into itself. There we go. So that's Inferno. Totally different shade profile altogether, but just wanted to put it on there. Singe is what a neutral pink. So definitely not going to be the same, but just for comparison's sake, that's Singe. Closer to Bellini than Inferno. And Singe is what I had said earlier in the video, the pink flush pick me up moment. You know, I'm not dead. That's what Singe does for me. Now transitioning into a few powder formulas. We're not in the same consistency category, but I had showed this palette in my previous video. These coral shades, I feel, kind of remind me of what Bellini is doing. Or this one's more like hot coral. This one, I think, let's see here. That's kind of what Pomelo Peach was looking like on me. So I didn't know what that was going to do. And the coral shade, you can see there's a lot more heat there. So, or I say coral, but maybe that's considered to be like peach coral. And the Suqqu blushes, I have two. We have 08 Momodaidai, which is a part of their original lineup. And I'm just going to swatch it right next to Bellini. So if I wanted to, I could slap on a little bit of Momodaidai just on top. If I wanted some color enhancement and reinforcement, not for mattifying purposes, but you know, anytime you layer products together, that's just going to help not only with the longevity, but to improve color richness as well. Not that the blurring balm needs it, 100%. The advantage to using something like a Suqqu blush is because it's so lightweight, it's not going to interfere with the color or the texture. It's just going to add a little something, okay? If you just want a little bit of color enhancement, what have you, and plus I have it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to slap it on there. The other Suqqu blush that I have is from their melting powder line, which yes, they are discontinuing. They had said that it is challenging now to resource the ingredients at a sustainable rate. So that's why they have to discontinue, and I understand that completely. This is in 06 Yuubae, which is a lot more hot. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do it right between. So that's giving a little bit of, you know, definitely Bellini vibes for sure. Let me swatch it over here. A little more heat. But that's similar, 100%. So if I wanted to put on Bellini or the melting powder blush first and then Bellini, what an amazing combination. Like a little bit of the soft matte from the blurring balm blush and then a little bit of that sheen from the melting powder. Yes. And randomly, I know I have the Chantecaille Radiance Chic, Radiance Chic and highlighter duo in coral. The coral shade I thought of, you know, kind of resembled Bellini. So that has a little more pink. I think that's what distinguishes coral and peach, that coral has more of like a pink leaning kind of a situation versus peach is more like a little bit of like that orange, but lighter. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. I'm terrible with describing colors. Last but not least, random. Forgot that I had this. It is the DIORskin Nude Luminizer Blush in 10. I forgot if this was standalone or a part of a collection, but look at this freaking color. It's more like, this is definitely more coral than peach, 100%. But my goodness, just like all over, look at that sheen. Ooh, it could be a gradient, okay? Just the Bellini here and then a little bit of this. That is the power of having all this makeup. You could be creative in just combining and cocktailing to your heart's content and create something beautiful that you didn't think possible. Because I do this too. You get like stuck product to product to product. But ultimately, like your face can get painted. You could do whatever you want. Gradients, playing with different color combinations. And that's why I think it is vital to use formulas that are just so fluid and can work with one another without the end result appearing patchy or uneven or just made up, you know? Of course, yes, obviously we got makeup on, but the texture and the consistency, we want it to still look like our skin. So what can we do to finish the look? I feel like we gotta complete what we started. I'm looking at my liquid shadows here, and now I kind of feel like I bought one of like the copper shades from the Lisa lineup. And what I think is probably missing from Pat's lineup, she got the rose shade, but all the other shades are very like hardy. They're super hardy. She needs like a, hold on. Grabbing Smuggler's Spice from the Star Wars collaboration, I thought maybe we can do a little, nope, wrong brush. If I were to just simplify this, because I do think Smuggler's Spice looks beautiful with the peach shade. And I think that's what Pat can venture into in terms of possibly extending her, what is the official name of this? The Chromolux Artistry pigment. That would be a great, I think, venture. If not this formula, for sure her Fetish Eyes liquid eyeshadow. Like a copper or magenta or fuchsia or maybe like a peach something. That would be dope. So I just tap that on my lids. And what I like to do for more definition is to grab no other than black coffee. My nub of a pencil. I'm getting a little nervous because is black coffee like sold out? I have to check because I kind of rely on this heavily, especially for moments like this. I'm not super elaborate with my eyeshadow. We're not doing transition shades and whatever, you know, we are just going one shade on the lid. And then if you wanted more definition, you can go with the pencil. I like to just draft it first and then grab my fave reference number 3 and then toss it side to side to smooth out my sketch because it's exactly what it is, and then take that angle up. Yes, you know, it's just adding a little bit of structure. Sometimes I don't apply any type of shadow on the lid. I just go in with black coffee and mascara afterwards, and I think that's perfect. And Smuggler's Spice, since it's a duochrome moment and has that gold, you can bring it towards the inner part of the eye to serve as like a highlight if you wanted, depending on your skin tone. Of course, I could get away with it being like a highlight moment, but if you're lighter than me, maybe it'll be too dark, but if you're deeper than me, for sure. One always ends up different than the other. What are you gonna do? I also picked up the ginger shade from the Laura Mercier Real Flawless foundation. I'm on the fence. I do think the ginger color matches better, for sure. But chestnut, even though it's lighter technically, it has a really nice brightening effect to my complexion. So I have to apply both, I think, day in, day out, make my observations, take note of them, because I don't want to buy two. I'm not doing that. I have way too much foundation. I just need to make a decision. What's kind of making me go towards chestnut is that I do have other shades that can kind of bring a little more color to my face if chestnut proves to be too light as we approach the summer season. But I don't know, like, it's funny. You want the foundation to be a great match. That's what ginger does. But the consequence of that is that your complexion could look a little too dull. So that's what I'm like playing with and deciding on. And shout out to Jeremy, who helped me at the Sephora, and he gave me a hearty sample of ginger, because the chestnut sample the Laura Mercier associate gave to me was not as hearty. He could have given me a little more, but that's okay. It's okay. I have been using it sparingly to make sure that I spend enough time with it to make a sound decision going forward. And the Sephora sale is approaching. It's happening in April. Definitely will wait for that before I buy anything else. And again, from the blurring blush lineup, Jubilee is mine, 100%. All right, I think I would like to apply some lip. I do have Bellini on, but I feel this calls for like a shiny moment. So I'm looking at the Suqqu lip wrapping treatment. Is this the right color? This is in, yes, 03. Has a little bit of like that, yeah, that orange hue to it. Okay, let's back it up to see how this looks. And here is the final look, trying on the DANESSA MYRICKS blurring skin. Hold on, the Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder Flushed. Again, thinking about picking up Jubilee during the sale. The other shades are beautiful, but I'm trying to be a little conservative here. Adore Bellini. I think there has now been a resurgence for me and peachy coral shades. Those types of colors I feel more than appropriate for the summertime and spring. Like, I have been back on my pastel gig for the nails, so this is kind of like the vibe I'm riding on right now. And to have Bellini here and revisiting the rest of my peachy coral shades from my collection now inspires me to apply this shade more often. Terracotta is still my favorite, simply because to have like that hot toasted look on across the cheeks, it's like you can never go wrong with that. And again, I do love the more neutral tone, warmer pinks, because that also plays a role in livening up the complexion. And on a quick note, I do have Lisa Eldridge's Island Glow somewhere, which I feel like is in the Bellini category, but like same thing with Smolder, couldn't find it. I need to reorganize my makeup collection because it is a problem, but we're gonna get to that on another day. Let me know, fam, if you picked up DANESSA's Blurring Skin Flush Balm Blush product, what shades you picked up or have your eye on, what you're thinking about getting in the upcoming Sephora sale. I'll make sure to film that video as well to share my recommendations. But until then, I'll see you down in those comments. And that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, blush extravaganza, or Sephora recommendations video. Take care, and I will see you again soon.